Evelyn, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. So, also happy second Sunday in Advent for those of you who celebrate that. We do here in Denmark, or at least I think in general we do, but I don't really know. It's different from family to family, I suppose. But we also weren't supposed to do Advent presents. I'm pretty sure I said that last weekend. My mom kind of changed her mind all of a sudden. I don't know. So I got myself a gift card to the beauty shop that is down the street from here. So I'm gonna get myself a little something at some point. And I also have two presents for the next 2 Sundays standing behind me on my bookcases. So yeah, I got myself some Advent presents. It's basically just like a tradition here. So I think I explained it in last Sunday's video, so I'm not gonna do it again. But I just wanted to say happy second Sunday in Advent if you do celebrate it. And that is all for the Christmas talk today. I think, I'm not sure, we might go off on a tangent at some point during this voiceover as per usual, but I have no plans to talk about Christmas today, so we will see. Anyway, we are building a country family home today. This was inspired by a picture that I found on Pinterest. I can't really see if it's a country home or country house, or if it's a farmhouse. I feel like it kind of leans heavily on both, especially with the wraparound porch. So not really sure. I decided to make it beigey brown instead. Like this is kind of like soft brown, medium brown color. So probably not beige. But instead of white, because I don't know, white house in The Sims sometimes just get a little bit too clean in some way, a little bit too boring somehow. So I like to add just a little bit of color now and then. And for this house, I felt like it just needed some kind of color on the exterior, even if it was brown. I also tried out with blue, but I don't know. I felt like it wasn't fitting, and don't get me started on red houses. They are just not for me. Baby green would have fit this house, but I built a greenhouse last week, I think, so I didn't want to do another one, basically, even though I've also done, what was it I did Sunday? Or earlier this week, a beige house. I don't really know. Days kind of blur together, so I don't remember what day I released what. That's just how it is. But today, see, trying out the blue, it just wasn't working for me, so I don't really know. But green, I feel like could probably have worked on this house as well. So if I wasn't going to go for this brown that I ended up choosing, I probably would have turned it green instead, but we're ending up with this color. So yeah, and also I want to point out that no, the front yard is not my favorite work that I've ever done when it comes to landscaping. It most definitely is not. I like to point these things out myself sometimes, just so you know. I am my worst own critic. That's just how that is. But it's not my favorite work. However, I also wanted to keep the front yard very, very simple. I just felt like it fit the house better for some reason. It doesn't have a garage or anything like that, so I couldn't have added details like that. So I'm just keeping it very simple at the front. I also did not want to add a pathway leading to the back of the house because we have the wraparound porch. So that would have been odd as well, and I felt like the more simple solution would have ended up looking better, but it definitely is not my favorite front yard that I've ever done. Just wanted to point that out. I do like the floor plan throughout this house though. Sometimes boxy houses like this, because essentially this is just a small square and then with a long rectangle next to it. Sometimes boxy houses like this can be a little bit difficult to do floor plans for, but this one wasn't the hardest one to make a floor plan for. Luckily, so I hope you guys will like it. I also really love how the interior in the rectangle that I told you about before. I like how the interior in that part of the house turned out. We have a nice flow between the kitchen, dining room, and also the living room. The living room ends up being this sort of like sunroom situation. You can see where I use the modern windows. That's where I end up putting the living room, just because I felt like it fit the best. In real life, it probably would have ended up being way too warm in there during the summer, but things don't work like that in The Sims, so we're all good. Luckily, it doesn't work like that in The Sims, but I just felt like the living room there would have fit the best. I probably could have added another living room, but that would mean I would have to cut away one of the bedrooms, and I just was not feeling that. I felt like for this house, I wanted there to be not necessarily like a big family. It's still for a family of 5. So they have 2 parents, 1 teen. I imagine them to be an older teen, so perhaps they're off to university, but their bedroom is still like made for them. They haven't turned it into something else like a storage room or whatever. I don't really know. Yeah, I don't know how that works. But because here, you don't go off to, if you go to university, you must likely actually live by yourself in an apartment instead of like living in a dorm or whatever. So we don't really do that. Like college housing, we don't really do that. So I don't know how it works. Just gonna say. Also, when I moved out, my dad moved out as well. So I never had the opportunity to keep my bedroom in my old house. The house is just kind of gone. So yeah, I don't know how it works. But I feel like they could possibly be either a teen that is almost about to turn into a young adult and go off to university, or they are a young adult that is off to university, but they still have their bedroom and it's still like made for them and everything. Then there's also the 2 younger ones that are a kid and also a toddler. So there's a bit of a gap between the children, but that is also how it is in some families. Maybe the parents were just, I don't know, maybe it was kind of like a surprise pregnancy and they just went for it, if you get what I mean. And they decided to plan the next 2 a little bit so it fit with their jobs and everything. Could be, I don't know. I feel like to have a house like this, you must have a well-paying job anyway. I have no idea what the parents do, but maybe they weren't in the same financial situation when they got their first kid and they just wanted to get a little bit more settled before getting the next 2, if that makes sense. So there's a little bit of a gap between these the kids, at least between the teen / young adult and the kid, yes, the child. As for the interior style, I don't really know what I'm going for. Just gonna be honest, I feel like for this house, I just went with whatever I felt like was fitting in the moment. So we're not going for like a specific kind of interior style whatsoever. Even for the bedrooms, I think for the children's bedrooms. The parents' bedroom I tried to make fit with the rest of the house, so you'll see that hopefully. But for the children's bedrooms, so that includes the young adult / teen as well, I just wanted to go for whatever I felt was fitting for them, both with the color scheme but also the style. It's also quite difficult, I feel at least, to decorate children's rooms and also toddler rooms so they fit with, you know, like all these different kinds of interior styles that we have available to us in The Sims. There's a limited amount of furniture that you can use that feels like a children's bedroom piece of furniture. Does that make sense? So yeah, because otherwise it turns a little bit too fancy, and I don't know. I don't feel like that for children's bedrooms. They have to be childlike, not styled in any way. So yeah, I just kind of made it what I felt like it had to be for them. So it's not necessarily super fitting with the rest of the interior in this house, but it's also just their little personal space, so it doesn't have to be, in my opinion. I'm hoping I'm making some sort of sense, but I also feel like I'm talking in circles, so I'm just gonna move on. Anyway, we are working on the living room, and this is also sort of like a sunroom, but not fully. I felt like for this little piece of the house, they decided to renovate it at some point to add bigger windows, possibly to have a better view of the backyard or something like that. I don't actually know that is something I take into consideration sometimes, not all the time, but the placement of the sun when I'm building, because if you want a sunroom, it makes more sense to have a sunroom where the sun actually hits the room. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like during the day, but I think for this lot, the sun actually hits the back of the house in the morning, and then towards the evening, it's at the front of the house. So if they're sitting there during the day and then, you know, that would actually be good for like watching TV in the evening, because then it's dark. The sun is not out in the evening. I don't know what I'm talking about. Listen, I have issues these days because the sun goes down at 4. I don't remember how the sun works anymore because I only see it for like 3 hours a day. So, okay, that's exaggerating. I have a messed up sleeping schedule, so I see it for basically like 4 hours a day. Yeah, that's more fitting because it basically says bye at like 3:30 and it's gone at 4. So I don't remember how the sun works anymore. Okay, we should change the subject before I can make a complete fool of myself. But I feel like it was okay to place the sunroom there. Even like not sunroom, kind of sunroom. I don't know anymore. Kind of sunroom, but not really a sunroom. Living room. I felt like it was okay to put it there, and I could totally imagine them just one day walking into their old living room and looking at the windows and being like, let's renovate it. Let's make some renovations. And then just, yeah, deciding on that. So, but yeah, this is the parents' bedroom that we're working on right now. It's quite simple. Did not want to put too much furniture in there, did not want to do anything fancy either. I just wanted it to be very down to earth and just very chill, cozy, not overly stylish or anything like that. So we're not doing anything fancy with like item combinations or anything like that. No fancy headboard for this bedroom either. I just wanted it to be like, here's a bed, 2 nightstands, a picture and 2 lamps, and that is just back to basics, basically. That's what we're going for, back to basics. Also, I want to point out, actually for this family, I feel like something like a reading room would have been perfect for them because I'm getting the vibe that they are just very relaxed people. One probably likes to do a lot of gardening and likes to take care of their front yard as well. Just, not necessarily just gardening as we know it in The Sims, so where you plant stuff and then like trees and herbs and whatever else you plant in The Sims, but also like actually take care of their garden and all the plants in the front yard and the backyard and all of that stuff. And the other one just liking to read and like drink coffee and tea and that sort of thing. I could totally imagine the parents being like that, but I didn't actually have room for a home office or anything like that in this house. I did have the original house's floor plan available to me, but I decided to completely disregard it because the way that I made the house in The Sims, I kind of made it smaller than it was supposed to be. I completely just chose to ignore the size proportions on the original house because I wanted it to be a little bit smaller. I just wanted it to look a little bit smaller and cuter, basically, so just decided to ignore it, and because of that, I had to not even look at the floor plan, but I had it available to me. It looked massively different from what we're doing today. I think the rectangle on the right side of the house where the living room is, it wasn't actually looking like that on the original house. That is something that I decided to add to it because the part on the right side of the house was actually the garage. But I didn't feel like they needed a garage because I didn't know where to put the car outside either. So I just decided to ignore it basically, and because of that, they don't really have a home office or a reading room or anything like that, but it's the kind of family that I could imagine actually wanting a reading room. The closest that you'll get to a reading room is this little nook up here, and also the nook underneath the staircase. However, that nook is not usable, it's not functional, because I layered 2 ottomans and then a sized down couch and put them on top of each other, so they are just, it's making it glitch out, basically, so you can't actually use it. It's just for decor purposes. But they can sit up here in this little nook, where they also have a couple of movie posters, because why not? One of the Sims living in this house is really into sci-fi, so I decided to add some posters. I can imagine it's actually the kid. The kid has some of those Void Critter cards in their bedroom, and Void Critters are kind of leaning towards sci-fi, I want to say. Not really. Not at all, actually. But let's just pretend. So I can imagine it would be them. I don't know. I don't know why, but I feel like in my mind, I'm like, yeah, they're the one liking sci-fi. So the posters are also right outside their bedroom door, so it would make kind of sense. I don't know. What do you guys think? So this is actually, we're downstairs again because I remembered that I'd forgotten to decorate the teen/young adults bedroom. I'm going to continue calling them that because I haven't fully decided on what age they are yet. I'm gonna let you guys decide, so I don't know. Tell me. But I forgot that I hadn't actually decorated their bedroom, so we're doing that right now. And all I knew that I needed in here was definitely a bookcase and also a study area, so they have their own little, I changed this out because it was a little bit too childlike, and also because I wanted to use some of these pieces in the kids' bedroom and I didn't want there to be duplicates of furniture. So there you go, except from the bookcase, but the bookcase is really nice. Although, I mean, it's very colorful and there's some boxes on it and stuff that definitely look like they'd be a little bit out of place in a teen's, or not necessarily a teen's bedroom, but in a young adult's bedroom. I don't know, people can like different things, it's fine. But maybe this young adult's bedroom slash teen. Okay, moving on. Anyway, I just knew that I needed them to have a bookcase and also a little study area. So they have their laptop here. This is where they do their homework. And, you know, just a little bit of decor here and there. I also changed up the color scheme at some point because it was getting a little bit too... I think I changed the wallpaper to gray and then also the bed swatch to the black one. And we still have a little bit like pops of color throughout the room. So there's like... for example, the lamp, there's also a little bit on these shelves, but yeah, oh my gosh, I forgot what it's called. The Alexa thingy, I forgot what it's called in The Sims, but that one has a little bit of blue on it. The chair as well has a little bit of blue, or a lot of blue on it, and also the keyboard on the computer. So we just have like pops of blue throughout this room, yeah? And that's basically the color that we're adding to this room's interior. I didn't want it to be overpowering, I just wanted it to be a little bit toned down, so going for the pops instead of like full-on color throughout the bedding, or through the bedding, or whatever, like the rug or something like that, just like little pops of color. And then for the kids' bedroom, which is this one, we are going for lighter wood tones, but not white, just this sort of like light beige. And also blue, but on top of that also turquoise and yellow and green. So there's a lot of color in here. I realize that it's a little bit of a mess, but it's also a children's room. I don't think they honestly mind too much. Not saying that all children aren't very color coordinated, if you will. But this child in specifically this child, there we go, is not, so that's okay. I knew when I was a child, I honestly did not care. So often when I do children's rooms interiors, I feel like either it's been the parents' decisions, so it's very coordinated because it was the parents, at least if one of the parents cares about that stuff, or it's just a big mess. And today we're basically going for a little bit of coordination, but like too much coordination, too many colors at once. So it's a little bit of a mess. Does that make sense? Also, I want to point out that I think, you know how Pokemon had different types? So you had the water, fire, shadow, or it wasn't called shadow, it was called dark, normal, electricity, so on and so on. Yeah, all those different types. The void critters as well. Some of them are blue, some of them are green, some of them are red. I think they also have types, which I'm pretty sure is not a new discovery. And I think the kid living in that room is very mostly interested in the green ones, so I would say the grass void critters. So I put most of those on their shelves, but there's a couple of the light blue ones as well. I don't know if they're water or if they're ice or whatever they are, but they're definitely leaning towards the green ones instead, which is fair. Green Pokemon was never, like grass Pokemon were never my favorites. I was much more of a fire kind of girl. Still am to this day. Charmander all the way. Or the last one that I played, oh my gosh, what was it? Torchic? Is that the last one that I played? I don't think it was. I think it might have been the fire monkey that I forgot the name of, but I don't remember. I played the last ones that were available on Switch, so I'm not behind in any way. I just forgot the name of the Pokemon, to be honest. But I've always been a fire starter kind of girl, so just saying. I don't know. The grass ones were always kind of... It was a struggle sometimes. Let's just put it like that. But this kid apparently likes a challenge, so that is good for you, kid. Actually, speaking of Pokemon, I started playing Pokemon when Silver and Gold came out. So I had the Silver and my brother had the Gold, and at some point he basically stopped playing, but I continued to play. I was the only girl in, and I'm not saying saying this as in a kind of I'm not like the other girls sort of thing, because I'm just like the other girls, but I was the only girl in school who played Pokemon on my Game Boy with all the boys. So we were sitting outside. I still remembered very vividly to this day, but being the only girl among all these guys, they didn't want to trade with me, they didn't want to play with me. I was just kind of there because none of the girls cared about Pokemon, so that sucked. That's fine. It's been a theme throughout my life. We're not gonna get into that. School was not easy anyway. But essentially what I did, the point was, okay, so because my brother had gold and I had silver, I ended up getting Ho-Oh from him basically throughout through his game, and I had Lugia from my game. So I had like the best team. I took the starters from his game as well and restarted his game so I could get the other starter. So I had all the 3 starters as well. Listen, my team was amazing. I was like 7 years old or 8 or something. I don't remember, but I was like coordinated. I love my Pokemon game. I still do to this day. I don't know, it's nostalgic. I love it. So, Board Critters, yes. Also, by the way, regarding the whole like not like the other girls thing, it's because when I started playing games, it wasn't that common for girls to care about computer games as much as it is today. So, today, I don't feel like an outsider. Back then, I most definitely did. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm thankful to have been able to come across so many other girls that also play both Pokemon, but just computer in general, and The Sims, and like World of Warcraft, and all these different types of games. It's just nice to see that there are other girls out there. That's what I mean. Like, I'm just like the other girls. I'm just like you guys. You also play computer, you know? So, but yeah, that was my point. I could go off on a tangent about the whole not like other girls, but we're not doing that today. Maybe in another voiceover at some point, but not today. So I just don't like that whole thing. That's all I'm gonna say for now. So we are working on the exterior now, and we're starting out with the front yard. I didn't finish it because I didn't finish it at the start of the video, which I usually do, but that's because I wanted to make sure, because the house is smaller, I wanted to make sure that I had room for everything that I wanted in there, just in case I had to expand it anyway, because, you know, sometimes you have to do that if you can't really fit in the essentials, like a living room maybe in a house. That would be nice, and also a kitchen, a dining room. So the house is pretty small. I wanted to make sure that I had all these rooms sorted down, the floor plan sorted down before I started doing the landscaping, and I just moved on to doing the interior before going back to it. So anyway, we are also working on the backyard. They have a pretty simple backyard. They have a pool, there's also a grill, there's an outdoors eating area, they have a little bit of like a sunken down area where I ended up putting some couches, so they have a lounge area outside as well, and there's also the small, very, very small gardening area where they have 3 bigger gardening, I forgot what they're called, pots, but they're not really pots because they're the big ones, so I don't know what to call them. You'll see them in just a second. The ones that are big enough for you to be able to plant fruit trees in, but I don't know if you use them for that. I always felt like it was boring to use a whole, I don't know if that's just me, but I always felt like it was boring to use a whole of those big pots, plots, whatever you want to call them, just to spend them on one plant. I would much rather have 4 plants in one of those instead of just 1 tree. I don't know if that's just me, but I feel like that's it's a little bit boring if you only have 3 plants in them. But they're right there. They're the ones from Outdoor Retreat, so if you want access to them, you need to use the cheats that I use that are written in the description box, I think. I don't remember which one it is. It's probably the Hidden Objects one, probably, but I could be wrong. I don't know. They're my favorite ones to use because they look a little bit more rustic, a little bit less polished compared to the other ones, and the other ones are also sort of yellow in the color, which I don't really like. I like this sort of brown instead, so I often just go for the Outdoor Retreat ones. They also are available in the smaller size, so you can just, you know, pick and choose between the big and the small plots. Plots? I keep calling them plots. Are they called pots? I'm gonna have to open my game to see what they're called now. This is gonna annoy me for the rest of the voiceover. That is fine. Anyway, I tried to play some of this light robe over here, but it just was not working, both with the sunken down area, but also I could not make it work, like make a proper triangle or a square or anything like that. It just was not working. So I ended up going for some of these ones instead that are light robes from their wall. Like, they cling to the wall, so you can't just easily hang them wherever. But I think they're from the holiday update a couple of years ago. and I quite like them. And for the rest of the video, we do some terrain paint, and I think that is actually pretty much about it. So I'm gonna wrap up this voiceover now. If you like this build, you can download it off the gallery. My ID is AvelineYT, and you can also find it under the hashtag Aveline or AvelineYT. As always, the trade files can be found on my Patreon, which will be linked to in the description box down below. If you are a book nerd and you want to nerd out about books with me, check out my other channel, which will be linked to in the description box through my link tree and also in the pinned comment. And that is all I got for you today. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you did. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Sometime. Whoa, can I see you again? Can I see you again sometime? If you'll be standing by your door, I'll pick you up at 8. I said, whoa, you wanna do it again? You wanna do it again sometime? I wanna hear your voice over the phone. Can I call you when I get back home? So we can talk about you and I. You and I. Or can you tell me what you wanna do? I'll do anything you ask me to, as long as I can spend the day with you. Day with you. Lipstick left a mark on my cheek, so I keep thinking of you. Whoa, you wanna do it again? You wanna do it again sometime? Whoa, can I see you again? Can I see you again sometime? If you'll be standing by your door, I'll pick you up at 8. I said, whoa, you wanna do it again? You wanna do it again sometime? I just can't stop thinking of you. Whoa, you wanna do it again? You wanna do it again sometime? Whoa, can I see you again? Can I see you again sometime? If you'll be standing by your door, I'll pick you up at 8. I said, whoa, you wanna do it again? Sometime.